you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, guys. My name is Cassandra Lokko. And honestly, I've gone through such a journey just getting this TEDx speech ready. So I hope I'm able to take you on the journey that I went through. So, growing up, I believed in so many different things. I believed in the Tooth Fairy, I believed in Father Christmas, and I even believed that I was going to be the sixth member of Spice Girls. Yeah, no, I really believed it. I believed it with my whole heart. And I think I believed it so much that I even had my mum and dad believing that I could also be the sixth member. When it all broke for me is one of my friend Erica, I went to her house and she ruined it for me. So I remember getting outside her house and thinking, hold on a minute, she's got a house. Me, I lived in like a red brick, third floor flat, high up, and she had an actual house with a gate. Okay, that was the first thing. So I've walked through the gate, got into her house, and we was going to watch Love and Basketball as kids. I was about 11 and a half. We sat down, and I realized her sofa wasn't like mine. It didn't have a sheet over it that covered up all the like cigarette butts and it didn't have anything like that. It was one of those sofas that you sat down and sunk in. I was like, wow. Then her TV, my TV was one of those ones with the big backs. Her one was like flat screen. I was like, you've got a flat screen TV. But all of this was going on in my mind you. I weren't like saying it out loud. She then said, do you want a drink? And I was like, okay. We went into the kitchen, opened the fridge, and inside the fridge, she had Marks and Spencer food. No. She had Marks and that for me was a luxury, maybe Christmas, a birthday cake from there, but she had a full fridge of Marks and Spencer food. She then opened the freezer, and she had, at that time, I didn't even understand what that meant, Haagen-Dazs, Pralines and cream. In my house, we had Napoleon ice cream, the one that was, the chocolate, the strawberry, the vanilla. She had Haagen-Dazs, 11 and a half. What are you doing with that? So by now, I'm a bit sad, and I think I'm showing her I'm a bit sad. And then we've gone upstairs, and then she had matching IKEA furniture. Who has that? No, not in my house. We had the Teletubbies poster that went to the side a bit, that was stuck up with some sellotape, a brown chest of drawers that my mum said she got from the vintage shop, but now I know it was really from a charity shop. So everything broke that day. My whole childhood broke in front of me. Not only wasn't I not rich, I wasn't upper echelon, and I definitely wasn't upper class. After that, my mum and dad broke up. I was about 11 and a half, and I realized that everything my mum was doing, so all the money that she was spending on us, she weren't actually paying the rent. So I ended up moving so many times. Not once, not twice, but evicted from nearly every single house I lived in. And to be honest with you, I wish I could say that this was all of them, but it actually wasn't. And every time I left a house, I realized that I left a piece of myself there in that house. So it was praise and worship practice. And I had been saved for about 7 or 8 years now. And I remember we was getting ready for Mother's Day service the next day, and I started to get a bit emotional, and I was thinking, I would love my mum to come to one of these services. But my mum believed in God, but she didn't really believe in this Jesus thing. So I knew that she wouldn't really want to come. I remember one of my friends, Nicole, just saying, invite her, she might just come along. So I called her, I said, Mum, would you come, please? Just, come to the service tomorrow. And she said, you know what, yeah, she'll come. She came, we danced, we sang. It was such a beautiful service. And as a ritual, me, her, and Carl was my fiancé at the time, but he's now my husband, we went out to eat at a restaurant. My mum's so bubbly, she's like the energy of the room. But today she was sitting there and she was a little bit quiet. So I said, Mum, is everything okay? Is everything okay? And she said, yeah, the only thing is that they found a cyst. And, it may be just be blocking something at the moment, so it's making me a bit sick. But I'm going to go to the doctors in about 2 weeks, and you can come along with me. So I didn't really think much of it, and I was like, okay then. 2 weeks later, we went to the hospital. And I remember sitting down with my mum and the doctor saying, Miss Yvonne Swaby Riley, I know that we said that it was a cyst that you have, but we realized it's not a cyst, it's cancer. And not only is it cancer, but it's stage 4 cancer. And it's stage 4 bowel cancer, and you don't have long to live. You don't have long to live. You don't have long to live. It kept ringing in my ears, and I remember just kind of cowering over and feeling like, what is this doctor actually saying? My hands were clammy. But I looked over to my mum, and she just looked so, so happy. She looked so happy. And she just looked at the doctor and she said, thank you. And she looked over at me and she said, Cass, don't worry. I was supposed to be getting married in July. She said, don't worry, I'll be at the wedding in July. We'll prepare for everything. And she didn't want to take any chemotherapy or anything like that. So 2 weeks later, we decided that my mum should move into the house with me because her belly had started to extend, almost like a 6-month pregnant woman from the cancer. So she moved in with me, and my brother became her main carer, so he moved in with us as well. And it was so hard, like seeing my mum deteriorate, this smiley, happy, bubbly woman. But at the same time, it's like I hang on to those words of she's going to be at the wedding in July. She decided that she wanted to go to Honduras for some herbal healing. So I took her to the airport, and we all went to the airport. And I remember her excitement when she sent me photos of her on the plane sitting next to Usain Bolt. I remember just thinking, this is just going to be a part of the story, a part of the journey. And on June the 6th, I got a phone call from I think a doctor in Jamaica. And they were like, hi, Cass, if your mum goes into cardiac arrest, can we resuscitate her? I remember being so confused, like, yeah, like, of course you can. They said, okay, we could only do it 3 times, but after that, we can't do it anymore. I then got another phone call from my aunt, and my aunt was just like, Cass, your mum's not doing too well. And that just continued throughout the day. Your mum's not doing too well. Oh, she's doing better. Your mum's not doing too well. Oh, she's doing a little bit better. And I just wanted it all to stop. That night, I cried myself to sleep. But I got a phone call at 6 a.m. I kind of knew what the phone, like what my auntie was going to say on the other end. She said, Cass, your mum's passed. I remember getting up as quick as I could, opening all the windows and being like, I just have to get the house prepared for everyone that's going to come and pay their respects. I ran into my brother's room and I said, Omar, she's gone. Mum's dead. And I still regret to this moment the way that I told him, because I couldn't process everything. I then rushed to Tesco's, and I got into Tesco, and I remember just thinking, doesn't anyone know that my mum's passed? People were still smiling, going on about their day, and I was so confused. I started walking back from Tesco's and gathering my thoughts, and I remember the conversation that I had with my husband and my mum prior. We'd always make jokes in the living room, and we was basically laughing at him because he always does these endurance challenges with the Bransons, and he just climbed a mountain maybe the year before, and my mum was laughing at the fact that he actually did it. And I remember flirting with the idea of, yeah, maybe I could do something like that. I remember her looking at me and being like, Cass, you know us. We never finish anything. But on the way back from the shop, that just kept repeating itself. You know us. We never finish anything. You know us. We never finish anything. I got in the house and I said to Carl, I got to do it. I got to climb that mountain. I've got to do it. And he was like a bit confused because he knew that we'd been eating junk food. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared at all. But he said, you know what? He's going to tell Richard Branson's son, Sam Branson, and his nephew Noah that I want to do it. He went and told them, and they said yes. And literally, 2 weeks after, I found myself in Scotland, getting off a train, ready to do this challenge. To be honest with you, I think that everything that my mum had instilled in me over the years about, always being higher echelon, always being the best, I kind of thought, this is just going to be a glorified walk. Oh, was I confused. The first day, it was a marathon. So I basically walked a whole marathon. I think it was like 40 miles. The second day was the same thing. And although it was really hard, it's like I needed it. By the third day, I was about to climb the tallest peak in Britain, Ben Nevis. So the irony of it, guys, I've got to the beginning of the mountain and I'm about to do the devil's staircase. So I began climbing, and I've taken maybe 3 steps and thought, this is so steep. This is actually, how am I going to do it? I remember looking around and everyone was just chirpy and smiley, thinking, this is impossible. But then I heard, you know us, Cass. We never complete anything. So I've carried on. I've got about halfway up the steps and looked out and kind of seen like the drop and got down on my knees and literally started having a panic attack, telling Carl, I can't do it, I'm too scared. I'm too scared. And then Sam Branson was just walking past, like he was walking through a park, as I'm down on my knees, and he's like, Cass, have you ever fallen off the side of a pavement? I'm like, no. So why do you think you're going to fall off the side of a mountain? Some fear began to leave me, and I started to get up slowly, just some. And someone came over to me, and they said, Cass, 1 foot at a time. That's a bit like life, right? 1 foot at a time. So I got halfway up, and as you can see, I looked back, and I'm like, wow, look how far I've already come. And then looked in front of me and been like, but there's still so much to go. And sometimes we can get so stuck on what we've done that it's so hard for us to move forward. But I kept telling myself, 1 foot at a time. I've got halfway up the mountain now. And as I've got halfway up the mountain, there's people coming down the mountain that was in my group. So like I said to you, I've never done this before. I'm terrified, so I'm going really slow. To be honest, I don't know how Carl kept with me. So people are coming down, 60-year-old woman, like, Cass, you got this, you got it. Just keep going to the top. And it made me realize that's like life's journey. We're all going somewhere, and we're all trying to get to a top. But it doesn't mean we're all going to go at the same time. And as I was going up the mountain, I was just thinking about all that I was going through, all the things that was happening. And my mum's funeral, guys, was the day after. So I was going to have to get onto a sleeper train, and literally I had like 10 minutes to get ready to go to my mum's funeral. So, like I said, people had got to the top. They had this great picture that I didn't get to be in because I was still halfway up the mountain. The funniest thing about the mountain for me was that at the bottom, as you're walking up and you're tired, you're sweating, I was taking off all my clothes, all the clothes that I was wearing. But as you get to the top of the mountain, it was like a scene from Lord of the Rings. It was so icy. And I remember looking out and thinking, wow, Cass. Sometimes you can be in your deepest valley and then get to the top of the highest mountain, and it doesn't even look the same. What you think it's going to be like is never what it's going to be like when you're at the top. Oh, thank you. It's never what it's going to be like when you're at the top. So I'm at the top, and I look out, and I'm like, after all that, I did it. No matter what I had been through, no matter how depressed I had felt, no matter how much I felt like, life was just beating me, I had done it. And I heard that voice, well done, baby girl. You did it. I looked out and I looked over to my husband. And to be honest, guys, when I was at the top of that mountain, when I was on the way up the mountain, I was like, there's going to be a helicopter. We're here with the Bransons, yeah? Something is taking me off this mountain. There's no way. I remember I was doing it in my head, like, I'm going to show them. I'm not come. And then when I got there, I looked at Carl and I said, I'm running. He was confused. He was with Noah's dad. I was like, I'm running down. I started running full speed as fast as I can. Down the mountain, down the mountain, down the mountain. And then I got to the bottom, and I was met in a cabin, and everyone just started clapping. They knew what I went through. Well done, Cass. You did it. You did it. You did it. And I remember feeling like, wow, I actually stood outside of my comfort zone. I'd done something that I've never done, and I had climbed this mountain. You see, I felt so many things during that journey, but the mountain meant so much to me. And when I moved all those times, I could never put home as a place. I could never say, yes, home is this or home is that. My mum was home for me. So when she died, I felt like home died. But then after doing that and after climbing that mountain, I realized that home never died. That home was always inside of me. And no matter where I go, I carry home with me. So much changed after June the 8th, 2015. And a lot of the times we see people's highlight reels, we see what's happened to them, and we think, wow, I would want that. But it's the journey that we're taken on to get to that moment. So after June the 8th, 2015, and after the mountain climb, Richard Branson invited us on his private jet, eating crackers and cheese, to Necker Island. his private island, and with just some of our friends. And this was me and Carl at a fancy dress party, my first one. I had a great time. I then went and climbed another mountain. Not just a mountain, a volcano this time, an active volcano. Sillily enough, I went and done it again. And then, I was supposed to get married in July, and I didn't get married that July. It was too much, but I got married the year after. And our wedding went viral. It was shared on Twitter. It was shared, I put a picture on Instagram. I went from 800 followers to 10,000 in a week. The wedding was so beautiful. I remember the day because I was so worried about my mum not being able to be there that I got in my head about it. And I remember on the day before, it poured with rain, and the day after it poured with rain, but on that day it was sunny. Not only was it sunny, there was doves in the sky. And I remember people being like to me, Cass, you got doves, yeah? I was like, no, God got doves. It was like, honestly, the love in the room was so thick. And I feel like it went so viral because people felt that. They saw the pictures and they just felt what maybe, they didn't know my journey, but they felt the journey. Our wedding was called #Royal Wedding. And then in 2018, I went to the royal wedding. I went to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's wedding. Pre-drinks, I had tea with Oprah in the same room. I remember being confused. Is that Oprah? Yes, Oprah. I was in the room with Oprah. Then went to the ceremony, and literally, as Elton John serenaded us on the piano, I danced alongside James Corden. I was 8 months pregnant at the time, but I had the best time ever eating the best cake, I can say this, you've probably ever had in your life. It was lemon with like cheese in the middle and cream. And the lady was going around with canapes, so I think by the end of the night, she knew who I was. Every moment I'd be like, I had like 5 slices, I'm not joking, but I had to enjoy the cake. I did a premiere with, I did a premiere for Girls Trip, that's it, with Jada Pinkett Smith. We was invited for our honeymoon to Martin Luther King's museum. That's us with Martin Luther King's son. We had a private tour by Martin Luther King's son. He liked us so much that the next day we went to his house, had pastries, and literally just had great conversation while looking at pictures of Martin Luther King. Insane. And last but not least, yeah, you could do more R-in. That's my son. Last but not least, I gave birth to the best little boy ever, Lion Lokko. And I feel like at that point is when I realized why my mum did all she did. Why she wanted us to believe that we could be the best. Why she wanted me to believe that I could have the best. And now I'm so happy that I'm able to give that to him. Thank you guys so much for listening.